That record holds now with Hamilton
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I am Elton, your captain for today, and joining me is my co-pilot, as always, in the second seat, Mr. Andy.
I'm not sure we agreed to this whole captain co-pilot thing. I'd like to have some sort of referendum on this, if we may.
Okay, we are both captains.
Okay, that's
ship.
fine. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. I don't want a team order situation where I might have to sacrifice my podcasting to help you win.
For you to run long while I catch up, yeah?
Yeah, I don't want any of that stuff. No, we've got no team leaders here now. We're both free to podcast equally.
We are on equal terms. Actually, we're getting paid exactly the same amount of money as well.
It's true. It is.
It's remarkable. Cool. So we're here to talk about the Italian Grand Prix from a couple of hours ago. And I suppose I want to get your initial thoughts on that just before we dive into news, because I know there's a little bit of news and some
there's only a week.
happening.
There wasn't a huge amount of time for much news to happen. But
Well, in the world of Formula One, we always know that even a second, even a thousandth of a second makes a difference. Definitely this weekend as well.
yes.
So
my initial thoughts of the Italian Grand Prix.
yeah.
I have to say it's probably the best Italian Grand Prix in the last, at least the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly longer. I actually quite enjoyed this.
Good. I thought this was wicked, this race.
Yes,
I thought it was really good. Entertaining from start to finish. Lots of drama, lots of tense Elton on the sofa watching this. That was a journey and a half.
Yeah, no, this was. I had very low expectations for it being the Italian Grand Prix. This was the race I feel that everyone tries to big up. They say, the Italian Grand Prix, the Cathedral of Speed, and this is the race they're always expecting to have there. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is the first time we've had this race in at least 5 years, possibly longer.
Yeah. It's been a while, hasn't it? I feel it has been a while.
I think that a lot of that was down to the new cars, though. I think that might be what helped it along.
Do you reckon?
I think so.
Okay. Good. Well, just before, if you're new to this podcast, thank you for downloading it. Thank you for joining in, and hopefully you'll download more in the future. Just to warn you, we are two idiots that like to talk about Formula One. We may swear as well, so if there are little ears listening, then you might want to shuffle them out of the room just in case. And we also think that we know everything, so if you are at one point shouting and screaming at your iPod or your iPhone or whatever device that you are listening to this on, because we are talking utter balls, it's probably because we're talking utter balls. So you have been warned.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to describe us both as enthusiastic idiots.
I think that's a very good description.
It is, isn't it?
That's an excellent description. Cool. Right, so we have one email. Should we go through to the email very quickly?
Let us do the email, yes.
Okay, right. This email came on the Monday. It's from John Cooper. And
hello, John.
It says, definitely do a trophy watch. I like the ones that include the track designs like Canada this year and Monaco. Only redeeming part about Monaco, right, Andy? From John.
I don't think the trophy's redeeming part of Monaco, to be perfectly honest.
I don't know. The trophy's good, man. The trophy's good.
It's not worth a trip to the bloody racetrack, right?
Well, you're not picking up the trophy, though, are you?
Fair point. Well made. And as I have stated numerous times, I'm sure if someone was to pay for me to go to Monaco and have the Monaco experience, that being partying on a yacht in the harbour, probably not paying too much attention to the race that's going on, I'm sure I would absolutely adore the Monaco Grand Prix and withdraw all of my previous complaints. But until that point, I'm going to call it out for what it is, which is a waste of fucking time.
Okay. I did look out for the trophy before the race this time. I did tweet about it as well. You can find that on Grand Prix Pod. And yeah, it's one of them Heineken ones, which are really
it had a big
dull.
red star. I thought this was the Soviet Grand Prix trophy, perhaps. There's a big red star on the top of it.
That's in a couple of weeks' time, isn't it?
Is it? I thought we'd already been to Sochi.
No, we haven't done it. No.
Okay. Oh, there we go then. Maybe that one will have another big red star.
No, we had the World Cup, so we had to wait until Sochi, and then I think it's going to be early doors next year as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yes, this was nowhere near as good as the French Grand Prix trophy, which was King Kong.
That's still the best one this year.
It is. The Belgian one was good with the little Johnny Walker figure, but still, King Kong or Donkey Kong or insert whatever thing it is, Kong, the Gorilla Trophy, is currently my favourite.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. We have Trophy Watch, so
yes.
we'll be doing that.
You need some sort of jingle to go with it, I feel.
That's more work for me to do, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
If you do have an email that you want to send to us, you can send it to box@grandprixpodcast.com, and we will collect them and then possibly read them out if you're lucky. If they're very, very short as well, because I'm terrible at reading that sort of stuff. Anyway, do we have any news?
There's a few little bits of news, nothing majorly dramatic, as we had over the 3-week break between the Hungarian and the Belgian Grand Prix. But a little just glossing over the pages to see what's going on here. There was, strangely enough, there was still some controversy over the Halo, with some individuals saying that it didn't have any impact and Alonso's tyre would never have hit Leclerc, even if the Halo hadn't been there.
Right.
Which strikes me as a moot point because, well, fine, but clearly the Halo had some impact because it had a massive tyre mark and broke his suspension, so it had some impact there. I don't think you can really argue against the Halo at this point, and quite frankly, I've forgotten it's there. So it's just a thing. It's part of a car now.
It is, yes. And it's just people that like to bang on about it, especially when they're watching videos of the new Formula One game, and that people just moan it. When they do the crashes, that they wouldn't have survived without the Halo. Honestly, that joke died out in March, I think. When the first wheels turned of the Australian Grand Prix, that joke just died then. Yeah,
it's a bit... I don't want to say childish. It's disappointing is what it is. I'd hope we could understand that it's there for a reason, for safety. And you can't put aesthetics over safety. And people going out there saying, well, the dangers are part of the sport. To an extent, yes. But when you have a way you can mitigate some danger, you do it. I still firmly believe they should go for full canopies. That's just my opinion. But I'll take the Halo in the meantime. It doesn't bother me. I don't notice it. In fact, during some of the trailers for Sky, when they're showing footage now from last year, the cars look a bit weird without it. I'm used to it now. So it's fine. It's whatever. Let's just move on from the Halo. The only time I want to have to speak about the Halo from now on is if, like we had last week at Spa, there was a big crash, which we'll get to when we get to free practice too. Yeah. But there's a big crash, and we can look at the Halo and say, well, it's a good thing that was there, wasn't it? Other than that, I've no interest in discussing it anymore. It's a fact of life. I'll move on.
That's how I feel. Yeah. Charles Leclerc, he's a bit of a pretty boy as well, and I'm sure he wouldn't look as pretty with a massive tyre in his face. So I'm not saying it would have hit him, but we could talk for hours about that crash and what it could have done and where it could have gone. We've done that for hours as well. So I think we should draw a line under there as well. But yeah, I can't believe the media is still banging on about it.
Yeah, Twitter as well. But then again, Twitter is a wretched hive of scum and villainy. You must be cautious.
Yeah, it is filth. It really is filth.
A little tangential note, though, that from next year, they're going to reposition some of the cameras on the cars to... Because, we have the camera on top of a roll hoop, which gives us that great view where they now overlay the HUD over the Halo, which looks cool as fuck. I don't think anyone can argue over that. But there's a camera slightly lower down on the side of the engine intake, which we haven't really seen much this season because the halo does obscure a lot of that. They're going to move that camera from next season. They haven't said where, but it's going to be moved so that the halo doesn't obstruct the view anymore. Personally, I'm hoping right in the front of the halo.
Right, okay.
Just, you know where the center structure comes up and then it pans out?
Yeah.
And, I think you can, if you lay the electronics kind of like along that fiberglass or carbon fiber casing, stick a camera there, which I think would be an amazing view. Effectively, a driver's eye view.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that's where they put it. Don't know yet. We'll see.
Cool.
Going forward on that. Let's see. There's a few driver speculation things which I don't really think are overly worth mentioning because they are purely speculation. Unless you want me to go into them.
Well, okay, go into them briefly because you never know, they might happen.
Well, the speculation. So while last time out in Spa, we were all fairly certain 100% that Raikkonen will be staying with Ferrari next year. At Monza, everyone seems convinced that actually the deal is done and Leclerc will be moving to Ferrari. However, I personally don't think that's going to be the case because if they were going to do it, I feel they would have announced it at Monza.
Yeah. Because
Ferrari do like to announce things at Monza. And the fact they haven't suggests to me that that's the case. It might have been that Vettel, perhaps, and I'm just speculating here, might have said he wanted Raikkonen, and maybe he's changed his mind. We'll have to see. But I think Kimi will still be in the Ferrari next year. I don't think they're going to move Leclerc. That's my guess.
Okay, good.
Sauber have said that Stoffel Van Dorn is not a contender for its seat, which surprises no one because I don't think Stoffel Van Dorn is a contender for any seat next year. So that's that. Let's see. Ocon might be going to McLaren. He might not, but he might be. We don't know.
I heard Perez.
I heard Perez as well might be going because his seat might not be as safe as was previously seen. Obviously, Ocon comes with Mercedes money, and Mercedes would very much like him to stay where he is. And I believe Force India still owe them a fair bit of money.
Yeah.
So, who can say?
I'm
Perez.
Sure on our driver lineup market episode, I'm sure I mentioned about Perez possibly going to McLaren because of the money.
I could see it, and let's not forget Perez started with McLaren, so he is familiar with the team.
Well, no, he didn't. He started at Sauber, didn't he?
Did he start at Sauber?
Yeah, he nearly won a race for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did race for McLaren, though, didn't he? I'm not hallucinating that.
No,
okay,
he was at Sauber. He nearly won the Malaysian Grand Prix. I forget what year, but then he moved to McLaren and then was Jenson Button's teammate for a season. They got promptly kicked out.
There you go. So, well, like I said, I was, hallucinating. A couple of other real quick bits of news. I'll just gloss over them. F1 unveiled the new ballistic tested helmets, which look exactly like all the other helmets. It's all down to the composites and what they're made out of and how they're made. So there you go on that one. The FIA has unveiled a provisional calendar for next year.
Yes.
So I don't think there was any huge surprises there that we weren't expecting. It's 21 races. And as I say, it starts in Australia, ends in Abu Dhabi, a lot of races in between. Pretty much in the same order as they were this year.
It finishes in December.
Finishes December 1st, starts March 17th. So I think that's the latest finish ever for Formula One.
I think it is, yeah.
Certainly in my memory. So, yeah. We still get a 3-week break in the summer, though, thank God.
Yeah, and there's no triple header.
No.
Which is good. Also,
yes. That's good. The Russian Grand Prix still at the end of the year next year, actually, provisionally. So.
Oh, okay.
And Mexico would precede Austin.
Right.
But other than that, it's pretty much same as this year. So, yes, there we go on with that. Force India and Haas are still arguing over money and stuff like that and rights, but that's just petty nonsense. Yep. But we'll get a bit more into that a bit later on. The FIA have said they are keeping an eye, that there's some people who are concerned that the manufacturers might be adopting B teams, if you will, to get around cost caps and R&D limits, because by giving them engines and funding and personnel, they could effectively have a B team test stuff, which would then work its way onto the A team's car. And the FIA have said they are keeping an eye on it to see what happens.
Oh, okay.
I think that's about it. I think that's... Oh, one last bit. A special one for you.
Go on.
Sebastian Vettel had a little accident.
Oh, yes, I saw this.
He was doing one of those little drive around in a circle in the middle of town events, as F1 is prone to do, in, I think, Milan.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He might have accidentally run into the barrier and broke his wing.
Wow. Who would have thought that could happen in Italy?
Now, in his defence, apparently the reason was he was using Raikkonen's car and Raikkonen's steering wheel.
Yeah.
Which raises the question of, why not use your own? But...
Well, you don't want to damage the leader's car, do you?
Well, apparently not.
No, but I think he can be forgiven for this. I think all the Hamilton fans out there were going, whoa, scoffing at him for bending his Ferrari. Whereas you can't really see the wing, and it must be terribly hard to see where the barriers are. And that was a very tight circuit where he was spinning them cars around. So
it seemed that Ferrari had a bit of a problem with understeer, which might have become something of a theme over the weekend.
It all leads into one, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, actually, one last bit of news I think worth mentioning. Rear wings are going to be changed from next year, partly to help with rear visibility. Mm-hmm. So the drivers aren't just seeing a whole load of rear wing in their mirrors. And also they're adding high rain lights, similar to what we have in LMP1.
They look wicked.
They look fucking cool.
Yeah, they do. But they're just rain lights. They're not going to flash when the battery's charging or anything like that, is it?
Yeah. They're only there for rain and poor visibility, although I'm pretty sure they don't tend to race in the fog. So just in rain.
I think that's a really good idea. I think because you're in the rain, in the mist, you're looking for one square of light. And this gives you 3 opportunities to catch a glimpse of something through the mist. So I think this is a good step, and it gives us something to look at on a wet track at night as well. That look wicked at night.
I'm kind of hoping we get light trails like in Akira. That'd be cool.
Man, yes. Oh, don't. A wet Singapore with all of them. Thank you very much.
Yes, please. Very happy we've had that.
Definitely.
There you go. That's about all the news that's worth mentioning anyway.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fly through the free practice, if that's all right with you.
By all means, but I think the only bit worth talking about is FP2. Oh, sorry, I've just seen one last bit of news. The new Ferrari CEO has effectively walked back all the quit threats. So there you go.
What does that mean?
He's no longer saying Ferrari are going to quit if they don't get their own way.
Oh, so they're taking them all back, ready to be deployed later on.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, fine. That's like taking all your get-out-of-jail-free cards back, isn't it? And then we'll use them at a later point.
Perhaps, but as I said at the time, I felt that the new CEO probably wouldn't want to be quite so antagonistic with Liberty from the get-go.
Okay, right. So, free practice 1 was wet. And surprisingly, we had Perez topping the chart on a drying circuit. I think Kimi was fastest at one point. Ocon was about 3rd. But that was a nice little pick-me-up for the Force India team, which has had some rather turbulent weeks just behind it. So that's nice for them. In free practice 2, Ericson rolled his Sauber early in the early minutes, bringing out all the red flags while the barriers were repaired. So, Vettel lost it in the parabolic, damaging the rear end plates on his Ferrari, and free practice 3 was quiet. So, should we talk about this Ericsson crash that he had?
I think saying he rolled his salver is doing it a massive disservice. This was the most spectacular crash I've seen since Robert Kubica at the Canadian Grand Prix.
This was superb, wasn't it? It was very much like that. I'd totally forgotten about that.
He's coming up to turn 1, and apparently the DRS had overextended so it couldn't close. So when he went to brake, there was no downforce at the back of the car whatsoever, and it just speared off to the left. And I counted at least 5 rolls.
Yeah, there was twists as well, weren't there?
Yeah.
Which confused the matter.
25 Gs.
Ouch.
He experienced.
Jeez,
So,
man.
yeah, that was ouch. And when you look at the car afterwards, there's some great big gouges and marks on that halo again. Now, from the design of a Formula One car, it's probably very difficult for his head to impact with the ground. You know, you've got the long nose of the chassis and the roll hoop above it. Mm-hmm. But still, it shows that the halo did something. It had an impact. So, certainly, I think Sauber alone seemed to have proved that it was probably a good idea.
They've done very well out of this, haven't they?
They have. Impressive that the wheel tethers held as well. At the end of it, the wheels were kind of crossed in front of the car.
Well, it's like a sleeping dog, wasn't it?
A little bit like that.
Yeah.
But there was some spectacular images of this thing. It was proper scary, but when he was able to walk away from it, you go, okay, fine. Now we can just appreciate that as a massively spectacular crash.
Yeah, definitely. It was, number one, I think Sauber should be given gold-plated halos for the rest of the season. I think that is, well done, guys. Thank you very much for proving it. And here, have these awesome gold-plated halos for your troubles. Did the halo do anything? I don't think it did, but it did touch the ground. But then again, the driver's head has plenty of clearance between the roll hoop and the front of the cockpit, which is an imaginary line drawn there. And it just so happens the halo shrouds that line, so it will dig into the ground, which is fine. I think if it come down on a barrier, which he could very easily have done, then the halo would have done more work than was needed. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
If you get any mud or if you get any damage on the halo, people are just going to point out, oh, look, it saved another life. And I don't think that really happened this time round. But I'm not saying I don't want it. I'm glad it's there.
Yeah. As I said previously, I still prefer a full canopy, but I'll take this.
Yes. Cool. But yes, I've seen some pretty spectacular pictures from that. Yeah, that twisted and turned, and that was a full-on crash. That was a stand up, take your applause. That was Alonso at the start of 2016. That was the crash of the season.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Oh no! Well, no. I think the crash of the season was probably Spa last week.
Oh yeah, that was. But it's okay. It's up there. Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's top 3 definitely. No question there.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. But I'm just glad he got out and he was walking around and he was talking as well. So once again, thank you very much, FIA, for creating very strong cars.
Oh, absolutely. No question whatsoever.
Okay, anything else on that, or shall I move on to the qualifying?
I think you can move on. I'm just trying to think if there was anything. No, I think you could probably move on. What I will mention, though, before we get into qualifying, because this being Formula One, of course, we have engine penalties. Hey!
Get in. I love them.
All right, so first up, we have Nico Hlkenberg receiving a 40-place grid penalty. That is 30 places for exceeding his quota of power units and 10 places for causing a collision at the previous round.
Right. Okay.
Then we have...
Can I just ask about that? Did he take the engine penalties because he was already receiving a 10-place grid penalty?
I think so, yes, because Renault have a C-spec engine. But actually, I don't think Renault ran the C-spec engine.
Renault didn't. So I think they're kind of cheating the game doing that, I think.
Well, Probably. It's not like it's news to anyone.
No, but it just feels a bit
Disingenuous.
Well, we're not going to start in the top 10, so we might as well take more of a grid penalty and just start at the back anyway. But I think they're just playing the game, aren't they? Yeah,
well, one of the things they're definitely going to have to sort out is the whole engine penalty system. It shouldn't punish the drivers like this. They need to find a way to punish the teams without punishing the drivers, I feel. Yeah. Or better yet, the manufacturers. So if you're in a if you're in a Red Bull, say, and your Tag Heuer engine goes pop, maybe they should have the watches smashed. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Daniel Ricciardo has a 30-place grid penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit elements. And Marcus Ericsson has a 10-place penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit elements.
Yeah, wasn't that because of the crash?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, cool.
And that's something else I find stupid. It's disbelief that an engine should be able to survive a crash like that.
Yeah, I think if you can genuinely prove that the engine or gearbox was damaged because of but then again, you're the builder of the car, so I don't know. There is some grey area there that should be looked at, isn't there?
Yeah, when we do our, maybe over Christmas, the Grand Prix Podcast Formula One rules, that's something we'll have to have a think about. Think about how would we implement those penalties.
Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to move on to qualifying then, if that's all right.
By all means.
Okay, so Q1, both Williams made it through. I know. I don't know where that came from either, but both Williams, I think that's like the story of the weekend, really, isn't it?
I was going to say, God. That being said, Williams' biggest issue has been its downforce pretty much throughout the season.
And there is no downforce on this circuit.
If there's one circuit where you don't want downforce, it's Monza. So it kind of speaks to their strengths.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so both Williams made it through. Most teams were using the slipstream as well. And we lost Stoffel Van Dorn, Marcus Ericsson, Brandon Hartley, Charles Leclerc, and Sergio Perez. Now, Sergio Perez lost out by 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, that's going to suck, isn't it?
It might as well be 2 seconds. It might as well be 10 seconds. But 1,000th of a second was just rubbing it in, I feel.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that was just... Who
did he lose out to? I'm trying to find out who he lost out to.
Romain Grosjean.
Was it Grosjean?
Yeah. Grosjean did a 121.887. Perez did a 121.888.
Oh, man. That sucks.
Oh, yes.
There we go. And, Charles Leclerc did a 121.889.
Yeah. It was as tight as you like there, wasn't it?
It was very tight, yeah. So, things tightening up in the midfield around the back as well. There's something weird about that sentence. Q2, Stroll got through again. Stroll into Q3?
What is this madness?
It's witchcraft, I tell you that. So he's into Q3.
Someone sold a soul to the devil over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. And we lost Daniel Ricciardo, no surprise there. Nico Hlkenberg, no surprise there. Fernando Alonso, Sergio Sirotkin, and Kevin Magnussen. Now.
Yeah. Ricciardo and Hlkenberg just didn't take part in Q2.
That's right. So. But Alonso and Magnussen had a little tete-a-tete, would you say?
A little ding-dong? A little bit of a lover's quarrel, perhaps?
And I'm not too sure who to blame on this. I think I'm blaming Alonso for this. Because he was drafting Magnussen into turn 1.
Yes.
And he's got every right to drag him into turn 1. But then Magnussen, I don't think he wanted to be dragged and lose out, so he just kind of blocked. It's a bit 50-50. I think
it's
I'm more blaming Alonso, though.
It's childish is what it was. They tripped over each other, and as a result of that, fucked each other's laps. If anything, I would say I pinned the blame more on Magnussen. I'm not saying he was to blame for defending his position. He's absolutely right and allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But he knew he had a car that was capable of getting into Q3. If he'd have just let Alonso go by, he could have then dragged him all the way along Curve Grande.
Yep.
Probably taken him at the next corner, or at least been given a good tow throughout the rest of the lap and helped him on his way. Instead, Magnussen, he gets a bit of a red mist, especially when he's near Alonso. And it was, I think if it was any other car, he'd have probably just let it go, just gotten with his lap, gotten into Q3.
Yeah.
But because it was Alonso, it's like, fuck off, you're not getting by me.
Yeah.
I'm having you. And then we had some other interesting post-race interviews. Alonso thought the entire thing was hilarious because he didn't think the car was getting out of Q2 anyway.
Yeah.
And Magnussen complaining that Alonso thinks of himself as a god.
I can see where he's coming from. I think it's more some of the fans think he's a god and some of the media think he's a god. But I don't think Alonso actually thinks he's above and beyond everyone else. Although, well, okay, with that.
No, I think as much as I enjoy Alonso, I do think he thinks of himself as the best driver on the grid.
Yes.
Probably quite a few of them do. And he probably thinks that he has more of a right to that corner than anyone else does. But I just feel that Magnussen hurt himself more than Alonso hurt himself.
I think Alonso would have been better off timing that draft at the end of the lap or coming up to the parabolica instead of at the very beginning of the lap going into the first corner where you could possibly screw yourself and someone else up. What is he expecting Magnussen to do? Just back off?
I think he was expecting Magnussen to let him past.
Well, then I think he's wrong in thinking that. Then.
Oh, I'm not here to comment on the mental state of Fernando Alonso. I'm just telling you what I suspect he was thinking.
Okay, cool. Well, we lost them guys, and Q3 was that was a real good session. I felt.
Oh, it was. There was a good flow to the session. I felt.
Yes. So. The way it went is we had all the cars going out. They went out for 2 timed laps, didn't they? And at one point we had Vettel in front of Kimi Räikkönen and everyone was expecting that to be switched around. I forget Hamilton was topping the charts after the first laps, surprisingly as well. Well,
it was the first time around, I think Kimi was fastest, then Vettel, then Hamilton.
Right.
So the first time around, Kimi put in the fastest lap, then Vettel smashed that, and then we had a new fastest lap ever around Spa, and then Hamilton also did a new fastest lap around Spa, and then they all came in, did the biz as it were, and off we went again. And on the second time around, the positions were more reversed this time, so Bottas went out first, Hamilton behind him, then Vettel and Räikkönen. And everyone was a bit surprised because we thought Vettel would come out behind Räikkönen to get a tow.
Yeah.
But he did not.
No. Well, he was receiving a tow off of Hamilton anyway. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he was really losing out.
Well, I think that the logic was they felt that Hamilton would tow Vettel and then Vettel could in turn tow Räikkönen.
Yeah. Well, that's how it ended up, wasn't it? So Hamilton ended up coming round, smashing the lap record.
Oh, yes. 119.294.
Yep. Then Sebastian Vettel crossed that line and smashed that record.
A 119.280.
And then just behind him in his draft, Kimi Räikkönen came along and smashed that record.
A 119.119, which prompted me to send you a message saying, holy fuck.
Which I didn't understand because I was in the middle of Thetford Forest. I was looking at it going, oh, something's happened. Something's happened. And when I got home, I was watching it, sat there with my son watching it going, we know something happens. We just don't know what. And it was really tense. And then when nothing really happened apart from Kimi Räikkönen getting on pole, then I was like,
you don't think that alone warrants a holy fuck?
I do now. Yes, I do now. But at the time, I was thinking, someone's rolled it again, haven't they? Someone's gone into someone. I thought, no, that can't happen. That doesn't really happen on qualifying, does it? So, they don't trip up on each other, do they? At all? Never. So Kimi Räikkönen got pole. That was unexpected, wasn't it?
It was.
Who could have foresawn that?
Well, it was a bit like the Spanish Inquisition. No one expected it.
No one expects that. No.
It was a shocker. What I think was even more hilarious, though, was one Mr. S. Vettels did seem a little bit put out by this.
Okay, yeah, because he had a radio transmission, didn't he?
Well, the team was really excited.
Mm.
They were like, yes, well done. That's P2, Kimi P1. And all you just get is this stony reply from Vettel, we'll speak about it later. I mean, that is the tone that every married man knows when he's done something wrong.
Yes.
You know, that is the, you done fucked up, son, but we're going to talk about this later. And by talk, you're going to sit there and listen to me berate you. It's one of those.
I'm not cross. I'm just very disappointed.
Oh, no, it's even worse than that. It's, no, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah, that is worse. Yes. No, I'm fine. No, don't. No, I'll do it. Oh, no.
Yeah. That was exactly what it sounded like.
But did you hear Kimi's radio message when they told him?
No, please. And with accents, if you please.
And with the accent, with the Kimi Räikkönen accent. Okay, I'll do my best. But the radio, the Ferrari garage came on the radio and said, oh, that's a pole position. Congratulations. He went, thank you. That's it. That's what he said. He actually said those words. Thank you.
I know I didn't have Kimi down for pole on our little thing at the end, but I've got to tell you, when it happened, I was like, yes, come on, Kimi. Well deserved, son.
Yeah, it is. It is good, isn't it?
It was. I don't think anyone, with the exception of Sebastian Vettel, was upset about Kimi getting pole. That was great.
It's a Ferrari on pole in Monza. That's what the Italians want. That's what Formula One wants, isn't it?
It's half of what they want, definitely.
Definitely, yeah, I suppose. It
was a glorious lap. It was unexpected because no one seriously considered he was in for pole. Everyone thought Lewis had it until Vettel went by. And Crofty and Brundle were completely caught on the back foot when all of a sudden Kimi comes through with a 119.1.
Yeah.
It's like, where the hell did that come from?
That was wicked. I loved that.
Yeah.
But everyone was saying it was because he was being drafted along by Vettel and, the double toe of Hamilton as well. So, maybe Sebastian Vettel should have gone out behind Kimi Räikkönen and done exactly what Kimi did.
Well, it was alluded to that Räikkönen was supposed to go out first because Vettel said something in the post-quali press conference that it was Kimi's turn to go out first.
Right.
But he wouldn't expand upon it. Just didn't. It was very strange. Vettel, even when things haven't really gone his way, has usually been pretty much goes, oh, well, never mind. And he's still second. He's ahead of Lewis. He's still front row at Monza in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
He did seem a bit put out.
Well, okay. Why wouldn't Ferrari, if they meant that to happen, if they meant Sebastian to go out behind Kimi, then why didn't they just radio and get them to swap around?
Well, the buzz was that because, and purely rumour and speculation, because they've decided to dump Kimi at the end of the season, they felt they couldn't give him an order because he wouldn't obey it. But Kimi's always struck me as he's a pragmatist. He don't care. You're paying him to race the car. He'll race the car. And you tell him to let the other one through. He'll let the other one through.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to win the championship this year. He don't care. I don't even think he cares all that much about winning races. He's just there to race as fast as he can and do his job.
Yeah.
So
he's there enjoying it.
Absolutely, he was definitely enjoying that.
Yeah, that's good. So the grid lined up like this. We had Kimi Räikkönen scoring a pole position for the Ferrari in Monza. Sebastian Vettel was second. Lewis Hamilton was third. Valtteri Bottas was fourth. Max Verstappen fifth. Romain Grosjean was sixth. Carlos Sainz was seventh. Esteban Ocon was eighth. Pierre Gasly was ninth. And Lance Stroll was 10th. Williams 10th.
Wow.
What the hell? Cats and dogs living together. All that malarkey.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. Okay, so should we get onto the race then?
Oh yes, let us do the race.
Okay, so what did you think would happen going into turn one?
I thought that in effect the cars would pretty much go into turn one, certainly at the front in the order which they started in.
Mm.
And then there might be a bit of argy-bargy around Curva Grande, but really they just settled down and that was it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting a much, because history has shown that not much tends to happen. There's a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of, it might happen. Someone will lock up. There'll be some tyre smoke. Someone might run into the slow chicane area. Someone might go over the speed bumps. But not a huge amount tends to happen in Monza on the first lap, in the first corner. But what was strange was at the back, Brendan Hartley seemed to implode.
That was a weird one. That was, I wasn't expecting that, but it's always, I don't know, is it always nice to, yeah, okay, it is always nice to see something happen towards the rear of that grid, I feel. It's a long old straight, and it's a real proper pincer movement going into that chicane. I'm not saying they should get rid of that chicane. Maybe sort something else out, but that's for another day, I think. But yeah, I think people always trip up on this first lap, first corner. It always seems to happen. Someone always goes down the escape road, or someone always goes down the bollard bit.
Yeah, someone always takes to one of those, but there's not usually any major contact. Certainly not the kind of contact which stops a car effectively dead, like we saw with. Actually, Brendan Hartley's collision happened before the corner, didn't it? It was quite a bit. I think it was even before the pit lane exit.
So what happened with him then?
Well, I think he collided with Marcus Ericsson.
Mm-hmm. And that ripped his wheel off.
Did it rip the wheel or break the suspension? It definitely, it fucked his car.
Yeah.
And he was forced to pull over and stop to the side of the road. But while that was happening, let's face it, it's Brendan Hartley. We weren't expecting great things from him, unfortunately. I
don't think he did much wrong. I think he got a bit of a slow getaway, but he kept his hands on the steering wheel and he didn't move.
No.
And he got hit, and then that was it. He was out.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's first lap, first corner.
Yeah.
It's that melee into there. That just tends to happen.
Mm.
But what we did have further up in the field, which was entertaining, was we had a little bit of an argy-bargy back and forth between the two Ferraris and Lewis Hamilton.
Mm. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, what I was expecting to happen is the Ferraris to get away, to be ahead into the first corner, but I thought Vettel might be ahead. I thought Kimi might give up that position or let him ease through, and Ferrari might have had that little word in his shell like.
Mm-hmm.
And what really happened was they all got off, and Kimi straight away cut in front of Vettel, which is a very strange manoeuvre for them to do at Monza. That's almost like imploding the whole team, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not preventing something from happening. It's almost organising something to happen behind him.
He was certainly looking out for himself above all others, wasn't he?
Mm.
So he kind of positioned his... Kimi did everything right. He positioned his car perfectly. Kind of slapped it in the middle.
Mm.
You had Vettel and Hamilton both vying for slipstream into turn one. And then coming out and around Curva Grande, again, both sitting in the slipstream, coming up to turn 3, isn't it? The one at the end of
the second chicane.
Turn 4, the second chicane.
Yeah.
And that's where it got interesting.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, do you want to talk us through this? Because I have thoughts on this.
I too have thoughts. So let us. So we arrive at turn 4 into the is it Variante chicane? I don't know how you pronounce it. It's all Italian to me. Anyway, Kimi goes through in the lead, as you would expect. Now, Vettel is on the inside. Hamilton is on the outside, but he's had a better toe around Curva Grande.
Yeah.
And is slightly ahead as they go in. He goes into the corner. Lewis on the outside, but all 4 wheels still on the circuit to the, I guess at this point, you're on the inside for turn 5.
Yep.
Vettel comes around turn 4 and drifts across into turn 5 and connects with Hamilton. Now, whereas the laws of physics being what they are, you'd normally expect this to send Hamilton spinning off and out and, ruin his day.
That's right.
But it doesn't happen. No. Vettel is spun around, finds himself facing a whole train of cars coming by him, spins up his wheels in a very Grosjean-esque fashion, spins it around, and has to limp back to the pits. Now, fortunately for him, they deploy a safety car to recover Hartley's car.
Mm.
So it wasn't that big of a penalty because he damaged his nose as well as losing one of the barge boards off the side.
Yeah.
But it effectively fucked his race.
So Vettel blamed Hamilton.
Yes.
Hamilton didn't really blame anyone.
No.
Mercedes didn't really blame anyone. And I haven't heard what Ferrari has said about it. My thoughts on this are Vettel lost a little downforce behind Kimi, slid into Hamilton, and pirouetted. It's a racing incident. Hamilton gave him plenty of room.
Oh, Hamilton gave him an entire race circuit worth of room. Vettel, he just understeered into the side of Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I don't see why Vettel is blaming Hamilton. How dare you be there trying to pass me? How dare you? Do you not know who I am? Do you know what car I'm driving?
I think that's what was going through his mind at the time. Hang on, I'm in a Ferrari. You shouldn't be doing this.
No, I'm in a Ferrari at Monza. How dare you? How dare you?
Suit you, sir.
Suit you, sir. So he collided with Hamilton, ended up facing backwards, damaged barge board, damaged wing, which was replaced in the pit stop. They threw on soft tyres for him, and off he trotted to rejoin the train at the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was lucky it was the safety car. Do you feel the safety car was warranted?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the safety car was warranted because of where Hartley had stopped. He'd
stopped just before turn 1, was it?
He had stopped adjacent to the end of the pit lane lines. So anyone coming out of the pit lane would have been going close to that car and been forced to go close to that car because they're not allowed to cross that white line. So yes, I do think that was warranted because you had to remove that car safely. Mm-hmm. And because if anyone had popped into the pits, they would have been even closer to Hartley's car than required.
Now, I know you're not a fan of it, but do you not feel this might have been a VSC situation?
I'm not even going to... No, I don't like it.
Okay. I know you don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm asking, is this not the sort of thing it was designed to deal with?
I'm at no point would I rather see the VSC.
Didn't ask if you'd rather see it. I asked,
God damn it.
Is this what it's supposed to be there for? I'm trying to establish, is Formula One moving away from using the VSC? Because we've not seen it in a while, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I, like you, not a huge fan.
Mm.
But is this not a textbook example of what the VSC is supposed to be there for?
Okay, explain to me what difference would a VSC have on the very first lap of a race that a safety car wouldn't have?
Well, the biggest difference would be for Vettel's race. It effectively saved Vettel's race because if it was under the VSC, he wouldn't have been able to catch up to the train because he'd have been limited in his speed as well.
On the Delta, yeah.
On the Delta. So that was what it is. And again, I'm not advocating for the VSC at all. I'm not a fan. I don't like them too much. But what I'm trying to establish is Formula One, is Charlie moving away from using VSCs because of instances where they just seem a bit flat. They kind of mess it up. You're right. On a first lap, a safety car is going to have minimal impact because they're already running really close to each other.
Yeah.
But this does strike me as the kind of an incident that the VSC was initially supposed to deal with.
I feel the VSC it's to neutralise the whole track. And if all the cars are right next to each other, then you might as well just bring out the safety car. So if you'd got 20 laps in and this had happened, VSC would make more sense, because then you're just neutralising the race, sorting out the problem, and then letting everyone off the leash again, instead of unnecessarily bringing them all close together. But then again, I like the drama of bringing everyone close together again.
Oh, again, I'm not advocating for the VSC. I just like pressing your buttons because it's fun.
No, okay. At no point are you going to get me saying, yes, this is when VSC should be used. It's not going to happen.
Mark this date, ladies and gentlemen. I have a new challenge before the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. And it'll be like, yeah, do you know what? We should keep that. Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. So the safety car came out on that then, yeah?
Safety car came out. Vettel trundled off into the pits. He got his nose changed and a new set of boots. Apparently had an unsafe release. I didn't see this, but no further action was taken from it.
I haven't seen this either. It hasn't been shown on any of the footage I have seen. And it sounds like Sauber aren't pursuing it.
I can't possibly imagine why Sauber wouldn't pursue it against Ferrari. It just seems strange. I wonder what Ferrari what hold they might have over them.
I don't know what you're getting at. I don't know what angle you're trying to come from there.
I'm just speculating is all.
But there has been talk. Now, I listened to the notebook after the race, and I think Ted was turning around and saying, well, because the car was trundling in, then the FIA aren't looking at it because it was limping home anyway, and so it didn't really matter. Now, doesn't that just say to the rest of the grid, well, if there's a car just trundling in, a safe release really isn't unsafe release, is it? So if you have a car trundling in with a puncher, you're allowed to unsafe release in front of that car. That's what that says to me.
I think what happened here was because no stewards picked up on it independently. Ted saw it, the media saw it. But because no stewards called it out, it would be down to a team to lodge a complaint or to make race control aware of it.
Yep.
And because Sauber might possibly have a vested interest in not pissing off Ferrari, I would suspect they just probably kept stum.
Wouldn't Mercedes say something? Because they're in the garage right next door to them.
They are, but I think there might be certainly between Mercedes, Ferrari, between most teams, I think there is not my circus, not my monkeys situation.
Okay.
If my car's not directly involved in this, I'm not getting my nose in on it.
Okay.
So because this was between just, I can't say if it was an unsafe release. I haven't seen it, but if Sauber's not complaining about it, it's not really for Mercedes to say that looked like an unsafe release from where I was. I suppose. It's just my thoughts. Now, don't get me wrong. I imagine if it was, if Renault had an unsafe release in front of, say, a Red Bull or something like that, I'm pretty sure Haas would be on the phone straight away complaining about it.
Oh yeah,
But that's a different story altogether. I just feel that with Mercedes and Ferrari and most of the teams, if it's not directly affecting their cars and their drivers, they're just going to keep their nose out of it.
Yeah, I can see why they would do that as well. Yeah, but there is no footage that I've seen, so I cannot really pass judgment until I've seen that. And it doesn't seem like there is any footage of it either.
Oh, I'm sure there was onboards, because obviously you can watch the onboards through the red buttons for various cars, but we haven't seen it. I mean, one thing that was quite interesting to come out of Spa is those 360 cameras.
Yes,
that were fitted. Why can't we watch those during the race? Because there's an amazing shot from Leclerc's the nose of his car of Alonso flying over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we generally don't get to see that during the race, but presumably the FIA have access to that throughout. So it's like, well, why can't we watch that footage?
Yeah, that'd have to be on phones, wouldn't it? Because it's augmented, isn't it? So you wouldn't be able to show it on just a normal TV.
Well, no, but you could potentially. I mean, I watch my Sky feed through the computer, through the Sky Go app, so I don't know why it couldn't be an option on there. All I'm saying though is there's a lot more footage available than we necessarily see. So I'm sure if they wanted to see it, they would see it. But speaking of FIA and footage, they looked at the collision between Vettel and Hamilton and decided no further action was required, and that was kind of that.
I think that's the right way to go. It's a first lap incident. Hamilton gave him plenty of room. Vettel kind of mucked up.
I don't think Vettel deliberately tried to ram Hamilton, although it is funny how he keeps saying how it's not fair. I spun. He should have spun.
Yeah.
No. That's not the point of contention here, my friend. It was the point that you collided with him, not who should and who shouldn't have spun. But Hamilton, he gave him the entire race circuit. Vettel just understeered into him. Yeah. And as we said, that Ferrari apparently was understeering every day in Italy. So, whether or not it was at Monza or Milan. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. There was some dicey racing once the safety car came in, though.
Oh, yes.
Kimi Räikkönen and Hamilton. That was good stuff.
We had like 3 different changes of the lead.
That's what I want to see all the time. That's what I want to see. And I don't think Kimi had a very good restart. He kind of blipped it in one of the last chicanes. I forget the names of the last chicane. Apologies there. But which I thought was a bit naughty. He kind of blipped it.
I think he went too soon.
Right.
It was Ascari. Ascari's the last chicane before the Parabolica.
Yeah, and he kind of blipped it there, and then everyone concertinas are like, don't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So that was a bit naughty. And then he timed it right, but I just don't think he was away as quickly as what he wanted to be. And Hamilton had him. And I don't think it was that first lap though, was it? It was the next lap.
It was a couple of laps after that. It took a few laps for Hamilton to have a go at him.
Yeah.
And then he had to go into turn 1 and 2. And Kimi just took it right back, which was great. It was, a couple of wise old heads there, not going to do anything silly, gave plenty of space to each other, a lot of respect there. Hamilton got by down the start-finish straight. So Kimi just slotted in behind him through Curva Grande and just, did him at the turns 4 and 5 in the next chicane. And that was just great fun to watch.
What does that prove to you about the Mercedes and the Ferrari then?
Well, it shows to me they're pretty evenly matched around here.
Does it not show you that the Ferrari definitely has the upper hand against the Mercedes? Because Kimi could have been, he was overtaken, sat there, couldn't gathered his thoughts, and then took Lewis Hamilton again.
I think a lot of it is to do with the ability to slipstream around Monza, which is a thing which now new listeners might not believe it, but back in the heavy days, back in the old times, before the Empire, before the dark times, cars could slipstream at almost every circuit, and you could follow closely. But because Monza is low downforce, you don't have to rely so much on the air pushing the car down. Turbulent air is less of an issue for these cars, which means they can follow closely. You can sit in the slipstream. You can do that. So what happened here was Hamilton had the slipstream round Parabolica and along the start-finish straight. Kimi just tucked straight in at Curva Grande and just pegged him at the next one.
Yeah.
And when you do it there's not a drag. If after the 4-5 chicane there was another long straight, I'm sure Hamilton would have come straight back at him. But because you're into the Lesmo curves then, you can't slipstream around there. And it just gave Kimi that little bit of a gap he needed to break that cycle.
Yeah, that's
right.
So
then he was able to kind of settle down just a little bit and get on with it. So I don't think this says that the Ferrari is massively ahead of the Mercedes or vice versa. What I think this shows is the biggest problem with Formula One at the minute is the aero rules.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I think it shows Ferrari are ahead of the game, and that is only because it's Lewis Hamilton, the A driver in Mercedes, against Kimi Räikkönen, the B driver in Ferrari.
Yeah, but you say Kimi a B driver.
He's still an A driver. Yeah.
We're not talking. He's not a Stoffel Van Dorn or Sergei Sorokin here.
No.
He is still a world champion, deservedly so, with 16 years experience at this point?
Oh, 2001. Yeah, so 17.
17 years. So he's an old head. He's been around this circuit 17 times before. In Formula One. He knows his way around it. He knows where to to position himself and to do things. And he was having fun. If Ferrari are ahead, it's not massively so. It's nip and tuck, if you ask me.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was just my view. I think that the fact Ferrari was able to get by Lewis straight away, less to do with like having any kind of performance advantage, more just down to the fact Kimi was able to just position his car perfectly and just mug him into the next corner. Yeah. And I feel that Lewis probably a little bit more hesitant than he might have been otherwise, because your championship rival at this point is at the back of the grid. I'm in second place. I will take 18 points over him every day of the week.
I think that's what I was surprised at Hamilton, that he did. Well, am I surprised? Yes, I am a little bit surprised. I thought he might just sit there and go, well, do you know what? I'm quite happy in second. I'm earning all these points. Vettel's not earning any points at the moment, so.
But I think the thing here was it was a circuit where Lewis knows he can overtake against a driver who's not going to do something stupid. Now, if it was Max Verstappen in front, I'll sit here in second place quite happily. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Because
Max is bloody minded enough that he will take you out and him just to prove a point.
Oh.
He's never say die.
Should we talk about that point now?
No, we'll get to it in a second.
Oh, okay.
But because it's Kimi, and he took his time. He probed a few times. He wanted to see where he was quicker. Sat in the slipstream. He waited until the opportune moment came. And when it came, he took it. And once he was through, he was gone. And at that point, Kimi had pretty much destroyed his tyres. He'd pitted 8 laps before Lewis did. And, you saw those high-speed shots. Those tyres were blistered to fuck. Like 3 out of 4 of those tyres were just destroyed.
I was worried. Maybe 2 laps towards the end.
Me too.
I was worried.
I was having flashbacks to what's the race where he was in McLaren and they just went poop.
Oh, that was Nürburgring. Yeah.
Yeah. I had visions of that. I also had visions of Lewis just wrecking it at Monza on the last lap as well.
Oh, he did. Didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And I didn't want that. It was gutting that he wasn't going to win, but I didn't want him to lose the podium as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Lewis was able to do it, because he trusted Kimi not to do something stupid.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to talk about one Mr. M. Verstappen.
Yeah, let's do that because I want to go back to that Mercedes Ferrari fight in a minute because there's some real good bits coming up on that, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, you said about Hamilton wouldn't take a dive down on Verstappen. Well, Bottas did. And ended up getting punted for it, for his, but they were coming down to the very first chicane, and Bottas got a nice draft off of him and ended up going down the outside because Verstappen had parked his car in the middle of the road.
As he's entitled to do so?
Yes, he's entitled to do. And then he swung back left towards the outside of the circuit, where Bottas was occupying that space, and bumped into him, and it was just clumsy driving, I thought. Max Verstappen ended up getting a 5-second penalty for it, and pretty much ruined his whole weekend because of it. Because without that, then he would have been on the podium, and because Bottas didn't get him in position, did he? It's just because of the time that he had ended up dropping back behind him. Oh no, he got him towards the end, didn't he?
Did he get him towards the
end?
I think
he did.
No. Verstappen finished third on the road, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool.
Verstappen finished third on the road, but with a 5-second penalty, ended up fifth.
Right. Yeah, kind of screwed up his whole weekend because of that.
Well, we'd seen this telegraphed a couple of laps prior where Bottas, and this was Bottas's mistake, he kind of overcooked it a little bit and locked up a tyre. But Verstappen just went down the escape road and, over the bumps and shot on.
Mm.
But then when Bottas was in a position to have a go and Bottas had gone to the outside, was ahead. Now, Bottas has all four wheels on the race circuit, so there's a car's width. The rules state, and I'm not a huge fan of these rules, but these are the rules we have to live with. The rules state you can move once to defend, and then you can move back across to the racing line, provided you leave a car's width before taking the corner.
Yeah.
Now, Verstappen did not leave a car's width because he put his rear wheel in that space between the front and rear wheel of Bottas's car, then connecting his rear wheel with Bottas's rear wheel, kicking him down the escape road.
Yeah.
Which he had to go down. That's fair enough. That's an accident. Mistakes happen. What pisses me off about Max, even after seeing the footage afterwards, is his belief. Well, firstly, his expletive-driven rant about how Charlie Whiting's ruining racing, and then refusing to say he'd done anything wrong, blaming it squarely on Bottas. It's that arrogance again, and we've seen it a few times. I don't like that.
Yeah. It's the he gets a call for it saying you've got a 5-second penalty. And Vettel did it a couple of years ago, didn't he? At Baku. Yep. Where he went, what's that for? You're like, what do you mean what's that for? You know exactly what that's for. And okay, fine, you got adrenaline running through your veins and you're in the middle of a dogfight at the moment, but you know exactly what that's for. So don't come over the radio saying, oh, I didn't do it, because you clearly did. And it's deemed dangerous, and so you've got a penalty for it. So suck it up and get 5 seconds ahead. But it's just...
there's that, but for me, the issue is more what happens afterwards, where he blames Bottas for it. Even now, saying, I gave him plenty of space, and he drives against my wheel. No, sir, no. You see, Bottas is allowed to have all four of his wheels on the circuit. He's allowed to. In fact, we'd prefer if he did do that. And you've come across and clipped into him, and then you say, well, maybe they were harsher on me because I'd gone down the over the bumps earlier. No, it's because you caused a collision there. It's simple as that.
I thought he got away with that because they didn't turn around and say that. I think on the radio on the Red Bull channel, they did turn around and say.
Charlie said to him,
they'd wiped it or washed it away, hadn't they?
Well, he said, I could do you for that. I'm not going to, but don't do it again. So Charlie effectively gave him an extra chance. It was like, look, don't do that again. That's naughty.
Yeah.
And when he does it, he starts. I mean, if it was down to me and Charlie, I'd haul him in front of the stewards at the next race and ask him to explain himself. Just because I take umbrage at, that sort of language, especially when you look afterwards at the thing and you still can't see that you're at fault there.
Yeah. Well, didn't Charlie have Vettel over for coarse language aimed at him?
I think that was more the FIA than Charlie himself. The FIA were like, no, you apologise for that.
Right.
I think the difference here, though, is I think Vettel called out Charlie specifically.
Yep.
Here, he just called out in general.
Right.
Would be my guess. I'm not sure.
It's just the petulance of him, though, sometimes, isn't it? It gets up my nose. I
don't like that petulant streak he's got. And while I did enjoy when, Red Bull was saying, look, don't bother fighting with Bottas. You're only going to cost yourself 5th place. Him coming back saying, I don't care. But it just goes to show, I mean, if they were in a tight fight with Ferrari, for 2nd place, they might be like, well, we'd quite like the extra points here. Let's not forget the difference in points between 4th and 5th is 12 points for 4th, 10 points for 5th. Now, championships have been won by less margins than that in the past.
Oh,
You've got to have that mature head. You've got to go for the maximum points when they're available, as opposed to effectively having a strop and just, no, I'm going to finish 3rd.
I think he's a great driver. I really do. But I think this might be his comeuppance, and it might cost him race wins in the future. If Honda get their act together, it might even cost him championships in the future. If the stories are to be told from old days when it was written on scriptures that Verstappen will win the championship. That sort of attitude and the way that he drives could possibly have actions down the road later on which would screw him over.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a parallel here. He's undoubtedly very, very talented.
Yeah.
1,000%, no one is questioning that. But next season, he's going to be the team leader in Red Bull with Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, with an unknown quantity as well, the engine as well.
With the Honda, absolutely. I mean, do you think Verstappen's going to have any patience with that Honda?
Oh, he's going to be proper sulking with that.
I mean, because, you have to rally the team behind you, through the good times and the bad. From what I've seen, Gasly strikes me as a more mature driver than Verstappen does.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be weird if Gasly came up and just blew his doors off?
I'm not going to lie, I might actually quite enjoy seeing that.
I want Verstappen to win. I want him to win lots of races. I don't want him to dominate. I don't want anyone to dominate.
No.
But I want to see him win a fair few races, and I will enjoy watching him. And even if he turns into a bad guy that I kind of despise, I kind of want that to happen because then it gives me someone to look down on my nose at.
As
he's the bad boy.
As Scarface himself once says, you need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, there's the bad guy.
Yeah, there you go.
So
just
that
with
was,
less cocaine.
With one would hope less cocaine.
Just Max Verstappen sat there at his desk, just covered in cocaine everywhere.
Allegedly. I'm
not saying that actually happened, but if I had the power of Photoshop, I might be able to do that.
So that was Verstappen and Bottas. Bottas did a very good job playing tail gunner. They did say that they weren't going to enforce team orders until after this race.
Yeah.
But I think they asked him to back up Kimi Räikkönen after the pit stops. And it worked to his advantage as well because it offset his strategy to Vettel's. and just put him in a position where he had much fresher tyres towards the end of the race and was able to finish third. So I think Mercedes definitely played the better strategy game today.
Can I say something that might be controversial to Lewis Hamilton fans?
Of course.
I think Mercedes played a blinder today, and Mercedes won this race. I don't think Lewis Hamilton won this race at all. If there were two Ferraris at the front of this grid, then I think a Ferrari would have won this race. But Mercedes played it well. They called the shots. They knew exactly what they were doing. And when Lewis Hamilton wasn't in the frame, they pulled him back into the frame. And they won the race.
I agree to an extent. I think strategy played more of a role in this than pure pace. However, you still have to have a driver who can get the maximum out of the car to take advantage of the opportunities the strategy presented.
Yeah.
And I think Lewis, if you get him in the right headspace, he's there, he's listening to track 2 on his album, #blessed, available end of the season, all good bookshops. They managed to tap into that. We had the call for hammer time, which I do feel as an oversight by the individual who might have named the tracks left off hammer time.
Do you know, I didn't even think about that.
Also, #still I rise, and maybe these are on the extended version of the LP, but we'll have to see.
This is on the MTV Unplugged version, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. But still, it's it strikes me that yes, look, they keep telling us this is a team sport, and it is. Mercedes had to create the opportunities for Hamilton to capitalise on, and vice versa. Hamilton had to put the car in a position where he could do it. We've seen in the past where Hamilton's gotten a strop on, had a sulk, got his head down, and he's just settled down, and he's, like you said, he's decided to settle for second, or, it's just not working. He was on the radio every 30 seconds complaining. But we didn't have that today. He got it hooked up when he needed to.
He was very quiet, wasn't he?
He was quiet. He was asking to be informed. But even compared to where he was in qualifying, he seemed in a much better place today. So I agree to an extent that Mercedes won this race, but you needed to have Hamilton in that car. I don't think if you swapped Bottas and Hamilton, it would have been the same result. I don't think Bottas is able to extract as much from the car as Lewis is. So I think if Bottas was running second behind Kimi, I don't think they could say to him, fly you fool, or whatever the Bottas version of hammer time would be.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be able to do that in the same way.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I think it's because I was gunning for Kimi to win, and I saw this little trap that they were doing, and you saw it from a mile off, because you saw when Kimi went into the pits, he was behind Bottas. He was quite a way behind Bottas, but you thought, you're going to come into play now, aren't you? And Hamilton stayed out for a while. And when he did emerge, he was further back than what I thought he would be. He was way further back. He was, 6, maybe 7 seconds behind, whereas before the pit stops, he was
1 or 2.
I don't even think
maybe
touching
even sub
2.
1.
Yeah. And so Kimi had put some hot laps in and done really, really well. And I think if he'd just eased off a little bit, it might have worked, or played into his hands further down the line, because I still think Kimi had the beating of Lewis today 1-on-1, and I think that was proved after the safety car. But with Bottas just sitting there and just teamwork in it, and he played a blinder as well, and just slowly brought Lewis back into contention. It was a brilliant maneuver by both Mercedes to do that, and it was a sucker punch. I was gutted. I really was. And then as soon as you saw...
This is why you have I say this is why you have a teammate in this sort of a situation, so you can utilize. It's a game of chess.
Yeah,
you need to have both your cars available so you can do this sort of stuff. And because of Vettel's incident, for lack of a better term, Vettel wasn't available. I mean, I don't think they would have used Vettel in that same way because he's the championship leader. But if Vettel was up there, they might have used Kimi to back up Hamilton to allow Vettel a chance to catch up.
Yeah.
I personally think that rather than McLaren's strategy winning the race, Kimi lost the race by screwing his tyres in those initial laps. He just went too hot when he didn't really need to. He didn't need to open up I think it was a 7 or 8 second gap when Hamilton came out.
Yeah. I think
he didn't need to do that. And I think maybe the team were being a bit overly exuberant, telling him he's got to push, or maybe Kimi. I mean, Kimi just doesn't strike me as an overly excitable kind of guy at the best of times. So I suspect it might have been more from Ferrari themselves. But because he did that, all he did was put himself into Bottas's gearbox, shag his tyres, and then once Hamilton was passed with his 8-lap fresher tyres, he just had no response to it.
Yeah, I think even if Kimi had gone a bit lighter, he still would have caught Bottas. Bottas would have found a way to just slow down ever so slightly. I think that would have still happened, but he would have had the tyres.
He'd have had better tyres because Bottas was going to have to pit at some point regardless. And then with fresher tyres, or at least less worn out tyres, he'd had a much better chance of keeping Lewis behind him.
Yeah.
Or coming back at Lewis after he got by. Yeah. But because of those laps, it just wasn't to be. And that's why, certainly why I love Formula One, is because it's not just a sprint. It's a 200-mile-an-hour game of chess. Mm-hmm. And in this instance, he chose poorly.
Yeah. No, he was not checkmate. He was snookered in this one. But, okay. At least we saw an overtake for the lead again. How many was that? That was at least 3 this race.
I think
maybe 4.
Not counting the pit stops, because who cares if pit stops, they don't really count.
Yeah.
It was 3. We had Lewis and Kimi swapping on that initial lap. Yeah. So Lewis overtook and then Kimi overtook him back again.
Yeah, that's 2.
And that's 2. And then the final one when Lewis passed Kimi at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 3.
Which doesn't seem a lot, but
for the last 20 years of Formula One, that is a lot.
That's a percentage, isn't it? That's points.
It is.
Yeah, that is a heavy percentage. So
it's enough that it shocked us enough that it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But okay, yeah, I believe Mercedes won this race. But congratulations to Lewis. Was there anything else? Because I know we had Daniel Ricciardo breaking down. I was going to mention Ricciardo. Apparently, they don't believe it was an engine failure. They think it was a clutch failure. Oh, okay. Oh, that's... Now, it's entirely possible that's just what Ricciardo's saying because he doesn't want to be too harsh on his new bosses. Yeah.
But they think it was a clutch failure caused him to stop out on the circuit. Because from what we could gather, Ricciardo was reporting a vibration, but Red Bull couldn't pick up anything up on the telemetry because when he said he'd seen smoke, they were like, well, we're not seeing anything on the telemetry we're reading.
Yeah.
So now that was a bit disappointing for him.
Did you see when Ricciardo was out and at full speed, there was a point where Vettel was coming up to pass Ricciardo, and there was a bit of debris that just kind of flew off of someone else's car, possibly off of Perez's because him and Magnussen had a bit of a to-do earlier on in the race. And I think a bit of floor on Perez's car was hanging off. And this long shard of debris just bounced and hit Ricciardo's tyre and then flew off and just disappeared. It's probably still orbiting the Earth as we speak right now. But it was a moment of blink and you miss it. But if you didn't blink, My word, where the hell did that come from? And where did that go? And flipping hell, that was moving. So did you see that?
No, I must have blinked at that particular moment.
Right. That was, oh my God, that was scary. Oh no, we're still dealing with the pass. And it kind of didn't get mentioned at all.
No, I didn't see that. I'll have to look at the replays and see if I spot it. We did have a couple of little light kisses, perhaps, between Danny Rick and Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
There was a few little love taps back and forth there.
Is that Gasly getting his elbows out on his new team?
A little bit, I think. Maybe just, proving that he is... Well, I suppose because it's Daniel Ricciardo and not Max Verstappen, there's probably no real sense of company loyalty there where you have to be nice to the other team.
Yeah.
That would just be my guess there. But who can say? Yeah, Magnussen, he had that little clash with Perez and then ended up just running around at the very back, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Which was, I don't want to say disappointing, but sucks to be him. Fernando Alonso was the other retirement with electric problems.
Right.
Alonso, he's already checked out, in my opinion.
I think he has now, yeah. He came in saying it's the same problem again, and he was just poodling down the pit straight, wasn't he?
He was. He's all but checked out. I mean, they won't because it's Alonso, but you could almost see them just saying, we're just going to try out different drivers for the rest of the season, give all our potentials a shot and to see how they get on. But I can't see that flying. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, wait, no, we have one last bit. I don't know. Do you want to mention our French friend now or after you've run through the results?
Well, oh, no, we'll do that after we've gone through the results.
Okay.
I just want to mention about Sebastian Vettel. I thought he did quite well getting up to fourth. Mm-hmm. Because he was at the back of the pack after the first lap. After a broken nose as well. Yes, the safety car helped him. But he still had to go there, and he made an extra stop as well. So he two-stopped this race and still ended up fourth. Once again, Max Verstappen did himself out of at least one position, maybe two positions because of that incident. So maybe he would have finished up on the podium and Vettel down another position. But there we go. It was a recovery damage limitation once again. I still reckon I don't think this is a season turning incident for him like Singapore last year. I think he's going to look back on Germany this year and go, that was the swing. Because he didn't lose 25 points. He lost 32 points in that race.
Yes. But the thing to bear in mind now is he is now over a race win behind Hamilton. With 7 races to go.
Yeah. Does Vettel have it in him to overhaul Lewis?
Potentially. Let's not forget that all it takes is one bout of poor reliability, one incident. I mean, think back to Malaysia 2016 when Hamilton miles out in the lead and all of a sudden, poof, engine goes pop. So all it takes is one of those. And while Mercedes' reliability on the whole has been good, it just takes one issue, one dodgy spark plug, something like that, and it could easily turn on its head.
Yeah.
But everything being equal, I do think collisions and things like that aside, you would expect Lewis and Vettel to each be finishing in the top 3 for the remaining races. They've all got form, which means it's going to be very hard for Vettel to claw it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's got it in him. I think Lewis is he's just far too strong, isn't he? Even when he's having a proper mopey day, he's still good.
Well, here I think Lewis will have revelled in this one in the backyard of the Tifosi.
Oh, he totally had a chubby when he got out of his car. He definitely did. He had trouble getting past that halo.
Did he reach down and grab it?
He had trouble getting
you
past
want your
the halo.
Ferrari? I got your Ferrari right here.
Oh, he got out and just his body language was, yeah, man, we did them. And rightly so as well.
Well, did you hear on the slowdown lap, the Mercedes formation driving, please, boys?
Yeah, it was formation all the way home just to show our Italian colleagues. That was what was said. And I'm sat there going, yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't blame you for doing that. And at the same time, I'm going, you son of a bitch. So I like it. And yet I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, it's so good. I'm really enjoying it now. I'm really getting into this season. I think it's taken a while for me to really grasp it, but this is what we wanted. I said if Vettel didn't win either Spa or Monza, then he would have been totally out. And he won Spa, he didn't win Monza, so it would have helped if he'd won Monza. But yeah, this is it. It's down to these two now, all the way home, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's great. We've got a run to the end of a championship with drivers in different cars again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think... Do you think Red Bull win any more races this season? I suppose Singapore is a possible.
Singapore's always a possibility, providing that we don't have a repeat of last year.
Mm-hmm.
What else have we got coming up race-wise this season? We've got the Russian Grand Prix, Sochi.
Yeah.
The Japanese, the US, Mexican, Brazilian, and Abu Dhabi. It's not outside the realm of possibility, especially if we get, say, a wet race, someone like Brazil.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but it's on the outside. It's. I would have thought it's going to be between a Mercedes and a Ferrari for the most part.
Okay. Excellent. Right, well, I'm going to run down the finishing results and then we can talk about a certain Frenchman if you want.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Lewis Hamilton won the race. Kimi Räikkönen was second. Valtteri Bottas was third. Vettel was fourth. Max Verstappen was classified as fifth after his little penalty. Esteban Ocon was sixth.
I think you'll find that Romain Grosjean was sixth.
Romain Grosjean was sixth.
Yes.
That's right, yes. And we'll talk about that in a second. Esteban Ocon was seventh. Now, this is all out. Sergio Perez was eighth. Carlos Sainz was ninth. Lance Stroll was 10th. Wow, well done. In the points and everything. Sergio Sorokin was 11th.
So close to ceasing to be pointless. Almost.
He's still pointless.
He's still pointless. But wait, what's that? Late breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. So, Renault lodged a complaint against the Haas of Romain Grosjean. The nature of the complaint was not immediately apparent, but as a result of said complaint, Romain Grosjean has been disqualified.
Oh.
The reason being, or at least the reason stated is, and I will read about... Romain Grosjean has been disqualified from the Italian Grand Prix because Haas knowingly used a flaw design on its Formula One car already deemed illegal by the FIA. It deemed his flaw contravened Article 3.7.1.d of the Technical Regulations of Technical Directive TD published before the summer break. Now, I'm sure you'll remember that the article states, the surface formed by all parts lying on reference plane must have a 50mm radius, open bracket, plus or minus 2mm, on each front corner when viewed from directly beneath the car. This being applied after the surface has been defined.
Yes, I remember that, yes.
Yes. However, in its technical directive issued on July 25th, because the article was being applied differently by several different teams, it gave competitors until the weekend of Monza to comply with the clarification. basically Haas didn't.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if this was on both cars or just specifically Grosjean's car.
Yeah, I was going to say, why wasn't Kevin Magnussen disqualified? But then again, he could be running a different floor.
Entirely possible that was the case. I'm just trying to see if there's anything mentioned here. I'm not seeing anything written here. But basically, Renault complained, and the FIA have deemed that Haas were in contravention. So they have been disqualified. No points. Roman Grosjean is pointless in this race. And ironically, Grosjean being pointless has given Sergei Sirotkin his first point.
Hurrah!
Huzzah!
So, hang on. So, Williams ended up with 2 cars in the points.
Yep.
Ain't that good?
Yeah.
That it could possibly be their last points they score this season, but
I think very good odds, to be perfectly honest.
yeah. Oh, well done. Oh, I'm really happy about that. That's really good. And so all our drivers now from this season have scored points.
Yes, everyone has at least 1 point because Sergei Sirotkin has 1 point.
Good man. I bet he's got a little chubby, like Lewis Hamilton had once he'd won the race. Oh, that's good. I'm really happy with that. I'm sorry about Grosjean, but do I feel sorry about Haas? Do you remember when they were trying to bully into Force India, dropping down the being very petty about garages and stuff like that? And last time out, I was like, well, I don't care, Haas. So this time, I don't care.
Well, Haas have said they intend to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Just reading a bit more, they basically said the problem was they just didn't have enough time to produce a new floor. Being a small team, they don't have the budgets, and they hope to have it in place by Singapore. Now, the FIA have said they are what's the word? Sympathetic to the difficulties, but all the other teams managed to comply to the technical directive within the same time frame. So,
and if it's a case of either losing bodywork, then they could cut it off and rebond it, or if it was adding bodywork, then they could have reformed. They could have bloody 3D printed something, couldn't they? I know it wouldn't be as light, but to conform to the regulations, you could 3D print it and bond it on.
I feel Haas are not making many friends in Formula One, and I think that might be what's happened here.
Excuses.
Well, as a result of this, prior to the disqualification, Renault and Haas were both tied for 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the disqualification, Renault are in 4th and Haas have been punted back down to 5th.
Oh, what a surprise.
I know, it's getting nasty, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's getting a bit bitchy now.
Yeah, a little bit. Getting the elbows out a little bit.
Hair, yeah. Elbows and hair pulling and nipple tweaking, etc.
Oh, yes.
Anyway.
Shall I run down the championship standings then?
Yes, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, no real changes in the positions, but I'll give you the current points. Max Verstappen is 5th with 130 points. Valtteri Bottas is 4th with 159. Kimi Räikkönen is 3rd with 164. Sebastian Vettel 2nd with 226. And Lewis Hamilton out in the lead by 30 points with 256. That's over a race win for those of you paying attention at home. And in the Constructors' Championship standings, Haas are 5th with 76. Renault are 4th with 86. Then there's a bit of a gap to Red Bull Racing with 248. Then Ferrari are 2nd with 390. And Mercedes way out ahead now with 415.
Excellent. Right. I think we get on to our predictions now from last time out. So, I have to ask this question once again.
No. Oh, actually, I do remember these ones.
Do you remember what you went for this time out?
I'm pretty sure I don't have any points, so yes.
Right. Okay. Well, pole position, you went for Vettel because you was being a bit of a dick and going, I want to get some points. I think I'll go with Vettel because, he's bound to get me some points. And so you went with Vettel and didn't get any points whatsoever. So apologies there, mate.
So apparently I was completely wrong because I thought I'd gone with Hamilton for pole.
No, you went for Vettel.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, that means I might have a point for the race then.
I went with Kimi for pole position. So in your
which
face.
I thought was a long shot. I thought, well, that's just a blind hope. You foolish sentimental fool. You.
Yep. In your face. How'd you like that sentiment, eh?
I will happily take it in my face when it comes from Kimi.
Yeah. Let's just take a moment to think about that.
Let's not.
Oh, okay. In the race, I went with Kimi because I was like, yeah, he's like, well, going to win and stuff. And do you know what? At one point, I was sat there going, I got 2 points. I got 2 points.
Did you have a bit of a chubby going on there?
Not even a semi. It was full on. It was all over the place, man. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so I went with Kimi. I got no points. You went with Hamilton, didn't you? You just had to go with Hamilton.
Well, I spent all day thinking I had that the other way around because I thought I'd gone with Hamilton for pole and Vettel for the race win.
Yeah. No, you had it the other way. So you went with Hamilton, so you get a point for that. So congratulations, mate.
The status quo is maintained.
Yep. In our third column, we said we wanted to guess the total race time with a plus or minus of 15 seconds. Now, maybe we should have done like a minute or 2 minutes because, you know, it doesn't matter.
What were the odds that was actually going to be a safety car, I ask you?
Well, okay. Okay. I went with 1 hour, 21 minutes and 20 seconds. The race time was 1 hour, 16 minutes and 54 seconds. So I was well out.
Yeah. Basically,
you got to be in the same minute, and that's just, we should have done 5 minutes either way, I think.
Probably.
And if we had, then you may have won a point. So I don't mind giving you a point for this because I think our tolerance was a bit too small for this. So you went with 1 hour, 13 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. Without that safety car, I probably would have been on.
Without that safety car, I think you may have been bang on. So I'm quite happy to give you a point for that because I think the 15-second tolerance was way too small.
Ooh, he's offering me a point, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, everyone out listening out there.
Oh, here we go. No, I won't take it.
No. Let me know. Should I take this point? I'm putting it out to you. Send us an email, box@grandprixpod.com. Mm-hmm. Send us a tweet at grandprixpod. Should I take this point that he is generously offering me? You can decide, and we'll let you know for the next race.
And if we don't get any emails or tweets about this, then you don't get the point.
Well, if we don't get any emails, I might have to tweet and say, I'll have that point.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm just going to email and say no. I'm quite happy to give you that point, but it's up to you.
We'll see what the people say. If no one comes back, whatever, yeah. We'll see. I don't want to win by 1 point. I mean, that's the point that I won by, you see.
You're starting to sound like Hamilton. Oh, look, I gave the place back to Bottas, but if it comes back down to it, then you
Look, I can neither confirm nor deny that I have an album coming out at the end of this season.
Yeah, okay. If you want to help Andy out, then please email at boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com or tweet us at grandprixpod and let us know what you think. We did have a fourth column, which I think was a null and void column, but we said, which team would Stroll be driving for at this race?
Yeah.
And we both went with Williams. So
yeah.
I'm not going to give us either point for that, but
no,
yeah.
That was just a silly bit of fun. And they have said that it won't, if there is going to be a driver change, and we don't know if there will be, but if there is, it won't be until Russia at the earliest.
Okay.
So we'll see. I suspect there's contract issues where as if Stroll is taken out of that Williams, Stroll Senior has to give Williams a rather large sum of money.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can almost hear the dump trucks backing up to his house right about now.
Yeah, yes.
So in the standings, without that extra point that I'm willing to give you, I have 11 points and you, sir, have 10 points. So it is very, very close at the moment.
It is very close. Well,
Yep.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah. Okay, so the next race is the Singapore Grand Prix.
Oh yes. Would you like some details?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, if you don't mind.
So last time out, previously at the Singapore Grand Prix, pole position was Sebastian Vettel. The race win was Lewis Hamilton from Daniel Ricciardo, from Valtteri Bottas, with a fastest lap from Lewis Hamilton. In terms of all-time records, Vettel has won here 4 times. Lewis Hamilton has won here 3 times. And Fernando Alonso has won here twice.
Excellent.
Also, someone called Graham Lawrence apparently won 3 times in 69, 70 and 71. But I'm guessing that was a different circuit because it can't have been the same one.
I don't remember them races. I didn't watch them ones live.
To be fair, neither did I on account of me not being born.
Yeah.
So
Nor was I. I wasn't born either. Crying out loud.
73?
I was born in 78, you cheeky monkey.
I'm just checking.
Right. Okay, so since you're still behind, who would you like for pole position for this race?
Ooh, who do I fancy for pole position? I'm going to go with Vettel.
You're going with Vettel.
I'm going to go with Vettel.
That means I can't go for Vettel. So, okay, I will go with Hamilton.
Fair enough. It's a safe bet.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what we got to go for now. What about race? Who do you reckon will win the race?
Who do I reckon? Ooh, this is a difficult one.
Yeah,
Singapore circuit, it usually gives us a nice dramatic race, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who do I think?
Lewis Hamilton won last time out. You're going for Vettel on pole position.
Vettel has won 4 times though.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel he has to win.
He has to win.
He really does.
There's no doubt about it.
There's no doubt about it. He has to.
And you've already gone for Vettel on pole position. It's screaming that Andy goes for Vettel, really, isn't it?
It really is. It's screaming. But every time I've gone for Vettel, fucking Hamilton's ended up fucking winning.
But then again, you might have the Red Bulls there.
I've got the Red Bulls in there.
You've got the Red Bulls as well.
But
so much to think about.
There are all these, and if it's a wet race,
we're not going to be that lucky.
You never know. It's Singapore. I've been to Singapore. The weather in Singapore has been the same for the last 40 years. Hot, humid, with a 100% chance of it raining at some point throughout that day. So, yeah. See, that's 1 point behind. Gonna go with
We're waiting.
Vettel. Fuck it. Vettel. Vettel.
Okay. You're going for Vettel.
And Vettel.
So he's going to do them both, yeah? Wow.
I think so. I think there's a lot of pressure on Vettel. He has to win.
Yep.
And Singapore, unlike Monza, is not really a circuit where you can easily overtake. Certainly not the front.
Okay.
So.
I still reckon Kimi might win, but then again, was that the closest he's going to get this season? I think that might be it. That could have been it.
Oh, you don't know, though. But the thing is, I think might be trouble in paradise.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe it's a case of now, whereas previously he'd have been happy to just step aside and let Vettel through. Maybe now he's going to make him work for it. Maybe he feels if this is his last season, he's owed a race win.
There's potentially 6 winners of this race, aren't there? Especially with Red Bull possibly being up there on this circuit.
Yeah, I definitely think any one of those top 3 teams, any one of their drivers can win it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd almost go as far as to say, though, if it's a wet race, you've got maybe 16 potential winners.
Yes. Oh, yeah, then it gets turned. I might as well just go for Alonso then. Oh man, this is the hardest one so far, I think.
It is. It's because it could so many variables. It could easily go anyway.
Because Bottas hasn't won yet.
No, he's not. And the thing is, last year, you take her out that last year, there was no way Lewis was going to win, except for the fact that Vettel, Raikkonen, and Verstappen took each other out in the first lap, first corner.
Oh,
because the Mercedes was not working well here last year.
I'm thinking Verstappen, but I don't. Oh, flipping hell, man! This is like well hard.
If it's going to be a Red Bull, I'd probably go more with Ricciardo because I feel Danny. I still maintain Verstappen may be the naturally faster driver. Ricciardo's the more complete driver. He's got the sensible head.
Yeah.
And he finished second last time out.
Okay, I've written it down just to see how it feels written down.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great, but I think it's going to happen. I'm going with Bottas.
Bottas for the win, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm sticking with that. Bottas. I don't think I've actually chosen Bottas for anything yet this season, but there you go.
I don't think I have either, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, clearly some drama's going to happen in that race that I'm dreaming of again. Okay. Third column. Now these, go with me on this one for a minute. This race normally runs real long. We get a real short race this time out, and we normally get a real long one close to 2 hours in Singapore, don't we?
In fact, the last time out, the race ran for 2 hours, 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
So would you like to guess how close to 2 hours we go? Or how
holy
many
shit!
safety
Sorry.
cars?
I'm just looking at the grid last time out, the finishing one. Jolyon Palmer scored 8 points last time. That's how topsy-turvy this race was.
Flipping hell. Well, at one point, Vettel was going backwards.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. As fun as it was doing the length of time this time out, I do worry about doing it consecutively.
Okay.
Twice on the bounce.
Well, what I was going to say is how close to 2 hours. No, it's the same sort of thing, though, isn't it? Who am I kidding?
I was going to say you're kind of dancing around it.
Yeah.
How about this? How many DNFs?
Oh, okay. All right, DNFs.
So last time out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So last year there were 8 DNFs.
Yeah.
2016 there were 1, 2, 4 DNFs. 2015 we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DNFs. 2014 we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DNFs. 2013.
I think you've already made up your number, haven't you?
Now I'm going to let you go first because I suggested this. You have first dibs on the DNFs.
Sure.
How many DNFs? Now, this has to be does not complete the race, even if they're classified. So they're like get within whatever it is the percentage.
Yeah.
Their car has to stop prior to crossing the line on its last lap.
Yep. Okay. That's fine. So if they break down, but they're classified 4 laps down, that's still a
DNF. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I want maybe 4.
You're going 4, yeah?
I'm going 4.
I'm going to go with 6.
You're going with 6. Okay.
Which, let's face it, if you want to get Bottas winning, it kind of has to be.
Yeah. No, I'm going with 4. Oh, Jesus. I don't put any thought into this. Okay, right, yeah. There we go. I'm sticking with that.
You know, if it ends up as 5, we're both going to be kicking ourselves.
Oh, yeah, of course we are, yeah. Absolutely. Right, yeah. So that is 2 weeks' time, isn't it?
It is. I believe that the race is on... The race is on the 16th of September.
Yep.
1:10 in the afternoon here.
Cool. Right, looking forward to that.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. So hopefully everyone will join us for the review on that as well. Have you got anything to plug before we leave these lovely people? Because, you know, they listen to podcasts and stuff, so I'm sure that they'd like to listen to something else.
Apparently, sir, yes. Well, when I'm not here with your good self, you can find me on The Great Derelict, where I talk science fiction-y sort of stuff. I just recorded a new episode yesterday, which will be going out sometime this week. The Admiralty reconvened to pass judgment over some of the shenanigans which happen in so forth. In fact, in the previous episode, you and me sat down and we talked about the Space Force, which was most entertaining. Very fun. And you can find that and all the other podcasts I take part in over at RogueTwoMedia.com.
Excellent. You can catch me on the Black Dog Podcast as per normal. That's over at blackdogpodcast.com. You could also catch me on the Shonky Lab when I decide to do one of them. I'm sure I'm going to be doing one very, very soon. I haven't decided the topic yet, but I'm sure we'll sort something out. You can also catch me on a brand new show, which was released this weekend, called The Flicks Capacitor. And it is just me and Mr. Ian Lee talking about time travel movies. And the first one that we sat down to talk about was Triangle. So pop over to the RogueTwoMedia.com. It's all over there, or all over in iTunes. Ratings and reviews are always welcome in them places as well. So until next time, thank you very much, Andy, for co-piloting this episode with me.
Oh, always a pleasure, sir. You know that.
Top man. Thank you very much. And we'll all see you again next time out. So until then, bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if the motor's got a problem, because 2.8